following announcement has been paid for by the WZWA Network.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the AEW Dynamite review here on the WZWA Network. I'm your host, Karlifornia and Fury, alongside my esteemed co-host here once again, Jooseyboy Daniel Johnston. How are you, DJ?
Yeah, I'm very well, Karlifornia. It's good to be here. Another episode of Dynamite. A lot to talk about. Let's jump into it.
Let's do it, bro. Straight out of the gate, we start the show with a tremendous promo backstage with MJF. But I wanted to say Dave Meltzer, he's not on the level of The Rock yet, but he's doing pretty well for someone, at his point in his career. DJ, what did you think of this opening and obviously the ending with Wardlow crushing the apple?
Well, I certainly don't agree, that MJF is on the level of someone like The Rock at this point in his career. But I do think that MJF carries himself like a wrestler 10 years older than he actually is. He's only like 24 or something, I believe. So, yeah, great promo, a little foreshadowing at the end with kind of MJF making kind of a snide remark towards Wardlow, and then he crushed the apple with his bare hand, also putting over how strong that he is for the match with Jericho. So, yeah, good promo.
Yeah, I got nothing really to add there. I liked the beginning of the show when, they're panning the crowd. It's not that cold open that you get with WWE, which is just, man, they need to change things up over there. But we're talking about Dynamite. I like the way that they pan the crowd. You find the attractive women in attendance. You get a shot of them because as far as I'm concerned, if they're a good-looking ladies in the audience, that is proof that what you are doing is cool. As far as I'm concerned.
Just good-looking people in general.
Good-looking people in general. Let's not do a close-up of some fat neck beard. let's get the attractive people that are in the arena on the screen to show that, wow, that's somewhere I really would like to be. And I just felt that was an important detail to add. But let's get into the opening match, DJ. We both audibly groaned because it just seems like the Young Bucks are always opening the show. Their match is never in the middle. It's never like 3/4 of the way through. They're always opening the show, it seems, on several pay-per-views now, and of course, several editions of Dynamite. They take on Dante Martin and the Sydal brothers. DJ, I'm going to let you take this one to start us off.
Yeah, so I remarked at the beginning of this that I was going to at least try to find one thing that I liked about the Elite's performance in this match. What I did like was that they actually wore ring gear to the ring and kind of looked like they were there to wrestle and didn't look like they were just fucking around. So that was good. Match begins. It starts off. It's actually a pretty solid little match, particularly when Matt Sydal would come in. I really liked his stuff. On this episode, his brother, what's his name again? Sorry.
Oh my God. I don't know.
Is it Mike or so? I don't know. The other Sydal brother, the younger one, he also has some skills. Horrible tattoos, like those star tattoos look like he's an adult film star from 2003 or something. That's what the tattoos kind of give me the vibe of. But he's good in the ring. He had good snap and good explosiveness. So this thing actually, was quite good. Problem number one was that it went on for way too long. So that's another big thing. Every Elite match on Dynamite seems like they, get a pay-per-view length match, and it's just going on too long. They could have accomplished everything they were trying to do with 10 minutes shaved off of this thing.
Yeah.
It went for quite a while. Maybe not 10 minutes, but it did go for quite a while.
I think it went like 17, 18 minutes.
Yeah. So, the Sydal brothers looked pretty good. The Bucks and Omega took it seriously and actually wrestled pretty well for, quite a bit of this. They had that dive spot where the baby faces all ran up and did like a synchronized dive out onto the heels. It made the heels look stupid, but it wasn't like they just were standing there looking like idiots. And I don't know if that's a case of like the baby faces taking too long to get into position for the spot, or whether it's the heels, I don't know, but it looked bad and took me out of the match. And this thing continued to drag on. It really started to wane. And then towards the end, the new kid, Dante, was tagged in. And boy, this kid is smooth in the ring. He's got a fluidity in the ring. He, does a springboard, and you can see that his feet are placed perfectly, and he's got solid footing on it. And like, he's not kind of half-assing it, and he's not tripping over himself when he's doing these. And it's not
like
so
Leo
much,
Rush the other month.
It's not even so much that they're high-flying aerial moves. It's like a lot of springboards and like walking on the ropes and bouncing from one rope to the adjacent rope and things like that. And that takes skill to do. This kid looked young. There were several moments in that match, a couple of false finishes off of big moves that this kid did, where I thought that it should have been a 3. I believe there was a big corkscrew that he pulled off, and I think there was something else as well. On both occasions, it was a close 2 count. I just think that they should have let the kid get the pin, because you would have instantly had a star there. That kid's got a future. The Sydals looked good. So this thing did go on for, that's right. Sorry, I can't forget. I'll let you cover most of it, but the finish of this thing bothered me as well. I felt that was, overdrawn and drawn out too long as well. But, I would probably end up giving this match a C-, but I'm interested to hear what you think about it.
Yeah, bro. At the beginning we were like, okay, all right, we're getting like a proper little wrestling match here. It's not immediately just becoming what like that 10-man tag became the other week, where immediately it was like, good God, like that they can't at least build up to something. They just have to like rush to get to all these spots. But they slowly built things up at the beginning. But yes, first thing that takes it out of the match is the spot with the dive to the outside. Omega and the Bucks are on the outside. The Sydal brothers helped Dante over the rope to do a springboard off the second rope to the 3 of them, and it just took a little bit too long. So that was like, again, it interrupted the proceedings of the matchup. It completely interrupted the flow of everything. So it's like, it just feels like every time they do this, they're not thinking of a way that where it makes sense psychology-wise. And I'm sure there are fans out there that are sick of hearing that kind of thing, especially if they're diehard fans of these guys. But they need to, like later in the show, somebody did a suicide dive to Matt Hardy. I think it might have been Orange Cassidy. I'm not sure, but someone did it outside, but it made sense at the time because Matt just turned around and boom, he got hit with it. So again, on the show, someone else is showing how to do a dive spot, which makes sense to the situation. This didn't make sense to the situation, took us out of the match. The ignorance of the rules to do a stupid amount of triple T moves for a near fall could have been accomplished in simpler action that didn't come across disjointed and again interrupting of the flow of the match. I don't think we're nitpicking here for the sake of nitpicking.
No, I liked a lot of it.
Yeah, we're looking at this match trying to look for the positives, but twice something happened that took us out of it.
Like grinds the match to a halt,
Yes.
Like I was about to say, but I didn't want to interrupt, and I know we're trying to keep it brief. Every time that they stunt the momentum of a match and stunt the flow of the match to do one of these spots, it comes at the expense of some of that suspension of disbelief, which up until that point, I probably would have been quite fine to extend the limits of my suspension of disbelief to accommodate the more gymnastic moves because I was enjoying the match. But when you go and like slap me in the face with it by grinding everything to a halt and taking 2 minutes to set up the damn spot so that it doesn't look spontaneous at all, it just ruins it. It breaks the immersion. Anyway, let's keep moving.
Yeah. So look, this Dante Martin guy looked really good when he came in and like a house of fire, and he was very crisp and nothing came across fake. Everything came across like the takedowns looked like they realistically were able to be takedowns. You know what I mean? So he looked really good. And obviously there was that spot where he got that near fall on one of the Jackson brothers. And when I look back at this, I'm thinking back again to John Silver last week.
Yep,
how he had this great moment and the guy kicked out again, which wasn't necessary. It was an elimination match. I think Silver should have at least got that one pin there. But as far as I'm concerned, like that would have been a really big moment for Dante Martin to get a pin right there because the crowd were right there with it. Yes, I know it's also a very good hope spot, false finish type thing as well. But imagine he got a pin on one of the Bucks. The Buck would have been the Jackson brother would have been furious that this young guy actually managed to get a pin on him. That can lead to a singles match next week where, you know, the Buck maybe gets his fucking win back or something like that.
You know, but you would have made a star. Like
it could have been like a 2021 version of like a 1, 2, 3 kid suddenly out of nowhere getting a win over an established performer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because whether or not we personally like the Elite right now, the fact is they're seen as these top-level heels, and so giving this kid a pin over one of them would have really established him in the fans' eyes, and it wouldn't have done too much to hurt Nick Jackson in the long run.
Yeah, because the way that he would have pinned him was like just so out of nowhere.
It would have been like, an upset, a caught one on him.
See, like, because look, a lot of the times you have a match like this, and you know who's going to win. So imagine they got the win. Imagine this team got the fucking win.
Yeah, it would have been so out of nowhere.
This can lead to a tag title match with the Sydal brothers as well. This could have led to some other things. It would have been something different than the foregone conclusion that took place. But anyway, that was just a thought. I thought it might have been a nice little moment. And then, you know, you could have initiated a beatdown afterward, and then you could have had Christian Cage come out, you know, something like that. But it is what it is. And of course, I think the one-winged angel should have been the finish. I do not know why they had to pick the guy back up, hit the triple fucking BT trigger for the pin. It was just over the top, and it didn't. It was perfect the way that it ended with the one-winged angel. It didn't need to be this again. It's just like doing too much, man. Like it's doing
overkill.
It was overkill. That's the word I'm looking for. Overkill. So like, again, like I wasn't offended by the match. I wasn't as upset about the match as I have been with what they've done the last few weeks, where it was the complete low point of the show for me. But yeah,
it was definitely a missed opportunity.
Yeah, it was okay. And of course, after the match, you know, Dong gets on the mic. He's always good on the mic, man. He's always good.
He was really good.
I have to say though, we mentioned this. He played it off really cool when the crowd started chanting CM Punk, and I wish the fans would just take it easy with this thing, because then they started a yes chant as well. It's just let it happen. Just let it happen.
Just live in the moment. Why does everything constantly have to be, oh, we know he's coming, you know? Oh, we know, you know, and I get it. They're probably excited about the match and stuff and seeing them and stuff, and that's fine. But it's like it would be so much more epic if they weren't, if it wasn't getting shoved in the viewers' faces every 5 seconds that these guys are coming. Just leave some of that mystery. It's like I said last week. Only this week it's the fans doing it, and you can't blame people for being excited. They're at a live show. They probably haven't been out to a live show in a long time. You know, you get excited or whatever. But
I just wish that this deal with Punk and Tony, if it is what's taking place, I just wish that this was just between those two right now.
Yep.
And it just gets revealed to the EVPs like 6 hours before the show takes place. You talk to Punk about what you want to do, but then just beforehand, you've got some ideas of what you're going to do. And then if you need to go to the EVPs and what they think should happen as well, then do it just beforehand. Let's not get any of this out there whatsoever. I mean, I know you kind of want to sometimes hint at things so that you can pop that rating down the line. But man, I do miss like those surprises. And look at how the reaction that Sting got when Sting suddenly made this surprise debut and no one fucking knew what was going to happen.
But it's like what I was saying last week. I felt like the little tease that they did by saying Rampage was going to be in Chicago and it was called The First Dance. Those two things together were enough of a little reference to kind of tease Punk and get a pop. and it still left a lot of mystery to it because they didn't actually say anything definitively. So they need to do that.
And then Darby goes and cuts a promo saying best in the world, and it's like, man,
yeah. But back to this though.
Anyway,
so they're in the ring, and Callis is going on. Then Christian came out. What did you think of this?
Christian was like, immediately great, great on the mic. And, I hope no one out there is complaining about Christian getting a main event spot. He deserves it coming out of the gate. Omega is going to become a better performer because he wrestled Christian, and I think it'll help him as far as it's concerned. Being like a main event guy on national television right now, you can't just hang your hat on your Japan stuff. Omega still hasn't shown me everything that I think he can. And I think it only can be brought out of him by working with someone like Christian. So it's announced that Christian and Omega are going to be wrestling at Rampage for the Impact Championship, which might be an interesting way of getting that belt off Omega.
Yeah. And it was announced that Christian is also slotted to be Omega's AEW Championship opponent at the pay-per-view in September.
Yeah, so who knows what's going to happen. I'm kind of hoping for a Christian win at Rampage. And geez, what have I written here? Oh, of course, yeah. No, Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus came out as well. And I just mentioned that I always mute. I always mute when his theme song's playing. But anyway,
and I'm also sorry.
The end of the
Jungle
segment.
Boy and Luchasaurus also announced that they were going to be competing for the tag titles at the same show against the Young Bucks.
Yes, and of course, the final word had been said. Jungle Boy had announced the tag team match. They all reacted in the ring, pissed off. There was no need. Again, as we said, they always do just a little too much, and it's always a little bit of overkill. Kenny Omega did not need to get on the microphone and try and make a funny joke.
That's right. So
could have just left it at them being mad in the ring. Damn it, like you don't need the last word on this one. Let someone else get the last word, and you just be angry.
And it wasn't even a good last word. It was a joke that, again, undermined the severity of the situation.
That's it. Okay, getting away from them now, finally. Malakai Black with a good promo backstage. Well, not backstage, but a little, vignette. What did you think, bro?
Yeah, I don't have a lot to say, but I thought this was fantastic. I think that this took about 1 minute as well. So this wasn't a lot of time on the show. This is all that would have been needed to make this guy a star in WWE with their television facilities. Just 1 minute, let this guy sit down in a room. He looks interesting. He's got the tats. He's all dark and mysterious. He's got the kind of the Dutch accent that's kind of a little bit different, but he still speaks very clear English. And, so it sounds interesting. It's a different voice. And, he was just kind of sitting there, and he was talking in this really nihilistic kind of like worldview, kind of talking about how everything's sort of meaningless and how everything's about loneliness, and great promo. And this is exactly what they need to keep doing. They do not need to overdo it, though. Just do it here and there, not every single week.
Absolutely. And the next segment, unfortunately, you didn't get it on your version of the show. My version of the show showed a little bit of a teaser for Roads to the Top. And I just want to talk a little bit about this before we move on with the show. I spotted this really early on with Cody, and I have gone on a few rants about him in the past, and I'm not going to repeat myself on that stuff. But I saw it early, and a lot of other people hadn't. Friends of mine would always say to me, "Why do you hate Cody so much? Why don't you like him?" It's because I can see through him. And to see this promo for his reality show with his wife, I couldn't think of two more uninteresting people, two bland potato soup, uninteresting people to have a reality show about than these two. And I can't wait to watch it and tear it the fuck apart. So, as I already said, I noticed early on with him that something isn't right and there is an ego there that is shining through. He actually thinks he's still a baby face. And every step of the way, everything he's done has just been a little bit wrong. It's a little bit of a misstep with every angle that he has decided to come up with for himself. This is really important. I'm starting to notice in comment sections on wrestling websites, I'm starting to notice on Twitter more and more people are now starting to bury him and starting to say, my God, like he really thinks this much of himself and he still thinks he's a babyface. Bro, if you just turn heel, Cody, it will make a hell of a lot more sense. But we all see through it. And it's only going to be a matter of time before more and more of those fans naturally turn on him. And he's going to get booed out of the building very, very soon, as far as I'm concerned, because everyone is really enjoying Malakai Black right now. So it'll be interesting to see where this all goes. Anyway, I just wanted to say that and move on forward here, bro. We've got Daniel Garcia with 2.0 at ringside, with him taking on Darby Allin with Sting at ringside. I enjoyed the match, DJ. It was what it was. Again, though, another foregone conclusion. We know who's going to be going over here. What did you think?
Yeah, I actually thought this was a good little match. You know, I really enjoyed this. There was a lot of good mat wrestling from Daniel Garcia. And, you know, Darby actually showed me that he can actually wrestle. You know, it's not just all about the hardcore spots and stuff like that, or the, you know, the sort of gymnastic spots. It's also about he can actually go in the ring, and he showed me a bit of that here tonight. I thought Garcia looked really good. I think that he probably got some kind of a future if, you know, if he can manage to stand out of the pack a little bit. But at the moment, I think that he's just going to kind of be lost in the shuffle, but he's a good person to have on your roster. Darby looked good. I'd probably give this thing, you know, again, another C-. You know, I thought it was a pretty decent little match. On the outside, 2.0 kind of got involved with Sting during the match. Eventually, at the ending of the match, they tried to interfere. Sting ran interference on them and kind of took them out. After Darby got the one with the coffin drop in the entranceway, Sting beat down 2.0 and then really disturbingly kind of went over and tenderly grabbed the other 2.0 member and then lifted him up, and he was begging to be let go.
Yeah.
And Sting still fucked him up. So that was really good. C- for the match, and I agree with you that 2.0 are a little bit hammy. You know, I think they need to tone that down just a fraction.
Just a fraction, yeah. And like again, though, like I kind of feel like with Darby, you know, he had Sting come in. Then this program with Scorpio Sky and Ethan Page, who were teaming kind of like together for the first time. That feud extended into, you know, the blow off match with Darby and Ethan a few weeks ago that, you know, we didn't get to see for our review shows, but it wasn't long before we started doing this. But the only concern I have is like there was no follow-up angle, which, you know, got Darby to the next spot up with Sting by his side. And I'm sure there's an angle coming, but the fact that like next week they're going to be taking on these two guys who have only been seen on TV twice now in a tag team match, I'm thinking like, do you not have anything any more important than this in the pipeline for Darby Allin and Sting?
Yeah,
because it kind of feels like a bit strange that Sting's just rocking up to be, you know, watching over Darby as he's wrestling these young guys who haven't even, you know, got a win on television yet. So I don't know.
It's a little, you know, the thing is though, it feels like Darby and Sting are just kind of jogging in place, you know, at the moment. Feels a bit static.
I agree. But yeah, I just think, you know, you have someone like Sting there. Let's not, you know, he's only going to be around for so long. So let's not waste too much time. Let's keep them always doing something important. But anyway, the next segment, again, is another thing I want to make a little complaint about. Parker's backstage with the Death Triangle. if he's not going to be wrestling on the show, maybe he already wrestled on Dark if that was earlier in the day. But why is he still in his trunks backstage? Can the guy not have some like street clothes, or if you want to show off his physique, then okay, at least put on some track pants or some sort of, athletic pants.
Yeah.
People, that's one thing that annoys me with WWE when someone comes out to interrupt a promo or something and they're in their trunks. They're not wearing a jacket. They're not, people before they perform in a match tend to wear clothing because it can get cold. I'm sure once he's had his match, he's going to want to put clothing on, not just sit around in his underwear waiting for a moment in the show to talk about how annoyed he is by Andrade and his shit.
Yeah, and I'll add something quickly onto that.
Sure.
Just like a lot of people, I never really see this brought up, but doing these non-wrestling segments in street clothes also adds a bit of texture to the personality of the character, right? So having him come out and do promo segments or this backstage promo wearing his street clothes or what his character would have worn in that situation being backstage at the show, that adds some context to who this character is. So that, like, when you see him, when the only thing you ever see is them walking around in their ring gear, it's like, what? Did you wear the ring gear in the car on the way here? Who is this character when they're not in the ring? We're seeing them outside of the ring, so why aren't they acting like they're outside of the ring? It's a small thing, and it may seem like I'm really blowing it up, but I don't think so. I mean, there's a lot of memorable segments in history. Like Stone Cold didn't do the beer bath to the McMahons wearing his trunks and boots. He was wearing fucking jeans and a camouflage jacket and a baseball cap and a 316 t-shirt.
Yeah.
And it looked badass, man.
Absolutely, bro. And that makes me think of a few other things that I want to say, but this is 3 weeks in a row now with this angle where they've just been standing in that one spot. Is there no other part of the arena that they can shoot these things from? Like, Andrade and Chavo, they beat up the masked guy last week in a different part of that building. They were standing in a different. It was good. They were standing in a little bit of a different area of the building when they spoke as well. But the Death Triangle are just keep meeting up at this one spot. Like, this is one thing that I wanted to get into, that you have a whole arena to play with there. You have a whole, get there early, look around. Where can we shoot some stuff where we can show that there is a world here that of things that are going on in this world, in this one arena. This is the world that we've got for this episode. So things don't always just happen in the same spot every single time. You've got to look for different areas of the building because it's more interesting that way.
It's texture.
Yeah.
Like Mankind did his promos from the boiler room, the bowels of the building. The Rock would always be standing in his dressing room with his $600 shirts on a rack behind him and, his title belt, because he was like the quarterback. He was a professional athlete. So that was his kind of look. Edge always kind of dressed like he was a rock star. He had the long hair and the good looks, and he was a daredevil. And so he conveyed that when you saw him outside of the ring through the clothing that he wore. And it's the same with backstage. You'd see like Commissioner Foley used to cut promos from all over the building.
Yeah.
Like, use the locations.
You've got a location there that you can work with. And again, I don't want to go too long just talking about this one small thing on the show, but you give the Young Bucks 20 minutes. Hey, how about you give them 15 and you take 5 minutes to do 5 different things backstage? Someone arriving in a limousine, someone leaving their locker to head towards the ring for their match. You can do so many little things, quick cuts, 30 seconds here, 30 seconds there. So it's not just always this same formula that I've seen the last 3 weeks, where it is match in the ring, interview backstage, vignette where they're talking and cutting a promo about something maybe that's happening next week. Like, yes, that's all very, very important stuff, but I'm seeing a formula here that they're just sticking to, and nothing is unexpected. And I think that's something that they really need to think about is like, we don't need to just keep like doing what's expected of us every single week. Now everyone's expecting the same thing, all those things, interviews, in-ring interviews, vignettes, matches, etc. Cut to the commentator's table every now and then. How about you add 5 different things in 5 different locations, and it just broadens it so much and makes it more interesting and unexpected, even if it's something like a limousine rocking up and someone getting out. It's not a big thing. It's something different. And I don't want them to be stuck doing the same thing every single week and stuck in the same formula. That's all I wanted to say in regards to that. But this angle between Park and Andrade is shit. It
makes no sense.
There's no sense to it, bro.
Okay, so
they can't think of anything.
So here we go. So Park and like the Death Triangle are now cutting this promo backstage, talking about how they don't know who Andrade is and they don't respect him and don't give a shit if he wants to hire him a limo. Again, this is all a flimsy bullshit basis to start an angle. That's all I got to say about that. I'll mention actually when it cut back to Andrade. I'm pretty sure the Andrade bit followed straight on, right?
No, that happened after the next match.
Okay, so we'll get there after the next match. So yeah, to me, this whole angle is baseless because there's no I just think there's no basis for it in reality. It's such a flimsily there's no way that this would happen unless it was contrived and written to be that way. It's just very strange that they make an effort to try to have a lot of other issues going on that are really personal and kind of feel a bit more high stakes. And then they've got this that's over the Death Triangle, established stars in this company, not wanting to go and work for this newly debuted star who doesn't even speak English, doing God knows what. Like, it doesn't make sense.
Like a few weeks ago, wasn't Park in the main event of the biggest show of the year for the championship? And now all he's doing on the show is rocking up backstage. Maybe he's wrestling on Dark, but he's just there backstage. Andrade for the last 3 weeks is showing up in a very nice suit with Chavo in a very nice suit. And they're just, what are they there for?
Again, they're
just standing there for their moment to cut a promo. Like, what? Why isn't he wrestled?
Show? Yeah.
Why isn't he wrestled in 3 weeks, bro?
Why did you show up to the show? You know,
like, is he injured? Is he nursing an injury? I don't know, but it just doesn't make sense that he has not performed. I would have thought that he would have wrestled that mask guy this week that they beat the shit out of last week. I would have thought he would have wrestled him this week because there was at least a pretense to it fucking happening. There was no pretense to this storyline between him and Park. But anyway, we should get away from it.
I know. We've been going long. We're going to try to keep it brief today.
Look,
folks,
but I can't help it with this one, bro, because
it's worth mentioning because it really, again, man, we keep going back to it. It's breaking the immersion that you know we're trying to enjoy.
We're in week 3 of the storyline, dude, and nothing has changed from week 1 to week 3. Nothing has grown from this. Let's get to the next thing. We've and now they've got a match. They've got a match booked for the pay-per-view now. Great. But like, what led us there? Fuck all.
Let's move on.
Let's move on, bro. Okay, we got the Hardy family office taking on the best friends. 6-man tag. DJ, I don't know. I've written the word opening spot. Don't know what I'm talking about there. I've already kind of forgotten. Can you please? You take this away.
So opening spot, it starts out with Matt Hardy and Orange Cassidy.
Right.
Orange Cassidy's doing some of his, lazy shtick. Matt Hardy starts doing the delete stick in response. Eventually, Orange Cassidy kind of grabs Matt Hardy's wrist, sort of in like a wrist lock, and then forces Matt Hardy's hand in his pocket.
It's so dumb.
Matt Hardy's face was like he looked so enraged in that moment. So yeah, that was actually pretty funny. I know you're not usually a huge fan of the Orange Cassidy stuff.
That got me. That one got me.
Yeah, that one actually worked really well. You know why? Because there's context to it. Here's this opponent that really thinks that that all these theatrics of mine are bullshit, Imagine how much it would drive him wild and cause him to make a mistake if I actually force him to put his hand in my pocket.
Yeah.
You know, so it made sense. But anyway, the match goes on. It wasn't too bad. You know, I just think that the best friends, like especially Chuck Taylor is not very good. I'm sorry. Like I am, man. I used to watch him on the indies. He's really put on quite a bit of weight, and I'm not body shaming the guy. If that's what he's done, that's what he's done. But the gear that he's currently wearing, it kind of looks a little unflattering on his current body shape, and it just feels like he's okay in the ring. It's not really that he's bad in the ring, but there's just nothing there. I feel like he needs a bit of personality to him. Specifically.
It's very QT Marshall, isn't it?
Yeah, the team overall. Obviously, the fans like him, so that's fine, I guess. But look, I just found that this match was really all over the place. It kind of didn't really know whether it wanted to be like a high-flying, action-packed barn burner, whether it wanted to be a serious, you know, six-man tag wrestling match, or whether it wanted to be a kind of a comedic, kind of farcical match to give everyone a laugh. And it kind of oscillated between all three of those different tones very schizophrenically in the match. And you know, it just didn't really work. And again, I think that you could have shaved a couple of minutes off of this one, and it would have probably, you know, not harmed the match if it had been shaved a couple of minutes off. Yeah, no one did really bad. I'm probably going to give this match a D minus because it really had no heat to it, and it was really wishy-washy.
Yeah, there was no heat to it, and I feel kind of like weren't we leading somewhere with this Christian Matt Hardy thing, and now it's kind of like they've cut that off now, thrown Christian toward the main event with Kenny, and I kind of feel like Matt's kind of, I don't know, he's just kind of there. And I also wanted to say, you know, as I alluded to before with Park, Orange Cassidy was just in the Double or Nothing main event, and now he's not really doing anything. So the follow-up, as far as I'm concerned, for both of those guys, after being on their WrestleMania type event, has been a failure as far as I'm concerned. Happy to see Hardy get the pin. But yes, as we said while we were watching it, the match was all over the place and there was no heat. Next, Andrade backstage. Again, the feud means nothing. Nothing really to add there, is there, DJ?
No, same thing as before, except it was from the other perspective.
That's it. And I'm seeing a theme here, as I mentioned before. Santana, Ortiz, FTR are not on the show. 2 weeks in a row of just backstage talk of vignettes, which, by the way, was very good. Very well put together. Next week, I want something to fucking happen.
Yeah, there needs to be a physical confrontation of some kind, something that occurs in the ring or in the backstage area. They cannot just play another couple of vignettes over the next couple of weeks before they get to this match. They need to kick it up to the next notch.
Because why? Where are they?
Like,
I know one of the FTR guys got hurt, but like you have this thing going on with MJF and Jericho. You would think Jericho would want to make sure that all the inner circle were there to ensure that he didn't get fucked over too badly. But anyway, again, it's just 2 weeks in a row of just backstage talk. Let's get to Statlander against Nyla Rose. Obviously, the previous match, Nyla attacked Statlander, so that was cool. Like, you know, they implemented something to at least have a little bit more heat coming into this matchup. It was what it was. It was okay. It wasn't like wasn't bad. It wasn't necessarily really good either. What did you think, bro?
Yeah, look, this was just kind of there for me. I see a bit of charisma from Kris Statlander. I don't really think that the chemistry was really there between these two. It kind of felt a bit sluggish for my taste. I don't know. It just sort of felt like it was happening underwater. And, you know, technically it was all right, but this match was just kind of there for me. So I'd probably give this one, you know, probably even an F.
Yeah, I don't know. Nothing against the ladies. You know, like I wasn't a fan of that Thunder Rose Julia Hart match a few weeks ago. I'm sure.
I don't think this did any favors for either woman.
Yeah, I don't know. Just that the ladies' matches the last few weeks is just that they need to fucking think of some real good actual angles.
Yeah, they need heat. They need heat.
They need heat. They need actual angles. They need like a story taking place, DJ. What is happening right now? Like all of these feuds that are going on are based on, I want to beat you. I want to become the champion. I want to prove myself. You know, there was a bit of a betrayal angle going on here, you know, with MJF and Jericho wanting to fucking finally get one over on him. Okay, that's a bit of an angle there, but a lot of these things are just matches that are coming up because, and the Andrade thing's shit, but like, there's no stories, there's no like actual like angles and things like a reason for them to actually really have a legitimate like personal problem with one another. I'm just looking for a bit more creativity because a lot of them seem to be same.
See, like here's the thing. You can say a number of things that AEW actually manages to do better than WWE, such as continuity week to week, and advertising matches ahead of time and so forth. But here's the thing. WWE, for all of its problems, you've got the angles and the storylines and the issues happening between these superstars. Then you have the wider framework of what the WWE as a kayfabe wrestling company is doing, whether that be King of the Ring being on the horizon, or whether that be Royal Rumble qualifiers, or Money in the Bank qualifiers, or, hey, Survivor Series is coming up, so I need to show that I'm one of the best people on this roster. So even the individuals on WWE programming that don't have a lot going on in terms of a personal angle or storyline, the commentators can always say, well, you've got to think that so-and-so is going to be looking to earn himself a spot in the Royal Rumble later on. And AEW, I'm not saying that they need a Royal Rumble or anything like that literal. What I'm saying is they need, you know, if there was a tag team tournament of some kind going on, then there may be a good reason for the Death Triangle to start getting pissed off at Andrade and stuff like that. You know, if there was going to be some kind of 6-man tournament or some kind of cruiserweight title tournament that was being held, then you'd have some external connective tissue that gives this angle a reason for being. Yeah. And it's the same with the women's match. There was none of that overarching connective tissue where it was like, this is a high stakes match.
Exactly. I'm not asking for every angle to have some sort of soap opera theme to it, bro. No. Like you think of like a long storyline like Kurt Angle and Triple H because of this plants and breadcrumbs were planted for you to pick up on. Seeds, were planted for you to pick up on for months and months and months towards Kurt Angle and this like love triangle with Stephanie and all that stuff, which finally ended up blowing up like, you know, many months down the line. But like that's a storyline, you know, involving like relationships and people and how they connect with one another. I just feel like not every angle should be about I want to beat you. There's got to be something else we can look at or think of to do to create heat. Anyway, let's keep moving forward, bro.
Yeah, we've done the opposite of what we said. Everyone, we said before we came on here that we were going to try and be nice and concise, and we were going to try and even get a bit of a shorter running time than last week. And you know, here we are, just really going into the weeds on some of this.
Doing a deep dive, bro. But look,
my background's coming down.
Oh no, everyone! It's been revealed that DJ has a very messy bedroom.
It's the spare room. It's the spare room.
Oh, it's the spare room. Okay. Look, if you wanna set your thing back up, I will take the next bit here, bro.
Okay, go ahead.
All right. So while DJ gets his backdrop set back up, I want to talk about the Young Bucks promo backstage here. They've got the basketball in their hands again. I don't know why they keep on going back to this basketball thing. It was weeks ago that we had this taking place. But anyway, look, they cut this promo. He's going for a layup. Luchasaurus comes in, blocks him. Look, for all the way that WWE get picked on for hokey backstage shit. I'm sorry, but this is hokey WWE style backstage stuff. And I would think that AEW would know a little bit better than to do hokey stuff like this. So I was not a fan of the Young Bucks promo backstage. Yes, I get they're trying to build something with them against, the Jurassic Express. But as far as I'm concerned, this wasn't necessary whatsoever. And I just thought it was a little bit silly. I'll wait for DJ to settle himself back down to respond. DJ, I'm sure you didn't hear anything I had to say then. But I was just talking about the hokey backstage thing with the Young Bucks going for a layup, blocked by Luchasaurus. And I just wanted to say this is hokey WWE style backstage shit that they all probably pick on, but yet they do it themselves. What did you think?
Yeah, I just think to any like AEW supermarks that want to crap on the hokey comedy WWE tries and pulls off, what the fuck was that? Again, undercutting the seriousness of a world tag team title match on pay-per-view that you want people to pay money to buy because they want to see new tag team champions in Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus be crowned. And again, it was treated like a fucking joke.
Yeah.
Dude, there is room for comedy within wrestling. I'm not even saying that just because they're tag champs, they have to be serious every single second of every single moment they're on screen. But in the context of this tag team title match, as it relates to the tag team title match, they should take that really seriously. And this segment was directly related to that tag team match. And if anything, it turned me off of wanting to see the match. It didn't make me want to watch the match on pay-per-view anymore. And I know that it's just personal opinion that is subjective, but I guarantee you I would put money down that I'm not the only wrestling fan that watched that and fucking rolled my eyes and just said, oh, now I hardly want to watch the match at all. I don't even care who wins. Why should I take it seriously if they don't?
We can't get through an episode without them doing something stupid and thinking that they're being funny. You're not being funny. It's just annoying.
It's embarrassing.
It is. If this would be a moment where you've been telling your parents that wrestling's really cool, and then this is what they would walk in the room and see, and they'd be like, "Oh my god, what is my kid even watching?" Anyway, look, the next bit of the show, in my opinion, was the highlight of the show. Mm-hmm. Britt Baker interviewed in the ring by Tony Schiavone. The crowd were into her big time. It's Brittsburgh. They're into her. She cuts a great promo here. So I thought it was the highlight of the show because of how much the crowd reacted to her. I would have liked to have seen her perform, but she will be performing on Rampage, which will be in the same city on Friday. Liked it. Obviously, all of a sudden, Red Velvet comes out and attacks her. They're trying to come up with some heat here. I think the story's still a little bit weak, but again, we've already talked about that. I don't think that they're writing properly for the ladies. There needs to be something more that they can sink their teeth into story-wise. But Britt Baker, in my opinion, is the best female character in wrestling right now, as far as I'm concerned. Not sure if she's 100% the best in-ring performer. She's pretty close, but, I would say she's the best character and the best at, portraying her character out of all the women in the business right now. Hated that the referees interrupted the brawl because, as we said last week, bro, why don't the referees ever interrupt when, the Elite are beating the living fuck out of, Hangman Page or whoever it is.
They didn't interrupt they didn't interrupt later on, which we'll get to, when fucking Schiavone's kid got fucking attacked.
Yeah, like that. Surely that would be more of a liability, right? Like you would want the referees to come out there quickly, but no, because this is what we've written this for Big Show to come out to interrupt. So like, it's just like, but then, you're going to do it for one thing. You got to do it for every single time there is a beatdown. You've got to have the referees or some backstage personnel coming out to try and stop them. Get Jerry Lynn to come running out there. Get Dean Malenko to come running out there. We know they're backstage there. So yeah, that's just one thing that annoys me. If you're going to do it every single time. You can't pick and choose because there have been more dangerous situations take place that weren't interrupted. Yet it's just Red Velvet coming out to to beat her up. I'm sure Tony could have probably separated them both. But did you have anything else to add to this promo with her?
No, I really liked this. I thought, Britt's promo was great. Britt looked great. She was wearing the Pittsburgh Penguins colors with a little logo. She was basically glowing. It clearly was a big moment for her. That translated through the camera, that translated for me. I felt that this was a moment for her. Her parents were in the crowd. She got a terrific reaction. She looked great. The belt looked great. It actually looks like a real title belt, which is one thing you can't really say for most women's titles in the business today. So yeah, this was probably the first A segment that I would give so far. Since I'd probably give this an A-. I really liked this. I thought, other than the fact that the refs never came out for any other beatdown segment to break it up, except for this one, I thought that this whole segment went really well.
Excellent, bro. After this, again, a theme is being seen here,
Uh-huh.
Santana, Ortiz, FTR, Cage and Starks.
Yep.
Pardon me, sorry. I'm drinking a little bit of beer here.
Mm-hmm.
Again, how many weeks in a row? Like, yes, Fight for the Fallen, there was that segment, with Cage and Starks with the band out there. But this is 2 weeks in a row now, just like Santana and Ortiz, where it's just vignette promos about this story. Where are they? Why aren't they performing on the show? Why do people always get a couple weeks off here and there?
Look,
maybe I'm nitpicking.
Look, I don't even know if I mind people getting a couple of weeks off here and there, because it allows other people to get their angles built. So I don't really mind that happening because they're still referencing it. But to do it 2 weeks in a row, it's kind of like, all right, there's a difference between trying to build something up and then playing it out too much to the point where you lose your excitement.
It's too much same.
At the moment, I really want to see them have a great match, but it's teetering. Once again, just the same thing that we said earlier in the show. This needs to be taken up a notch, same as the Santana and Ortiz FTR stuff does. Yeah, let's see something happen live on the show next week.
Exactly, and this is an opportunity where, as I alluded to earlier, looking around the arena for some sort of scenario that you can come up with where there's a confrontation. Nothing lame. Try and come up with something a little creative. That's where I think sometimes they lack, because they don't have someone writing the show. They don't have writers. And yes, I know writers maybe might not be the best thing sometimes, but sometimes you need people who have a creative mind, or someone that has at least been in the business that has that creative mind, like a Jake Roberts, that can think of an idea. Jake, what would you do with Starks and Cage? Find a location. Jake, think of something. I guarantee you Jake would come up with something. He could think of something. He's a very smart man, and he should be utilized more.
Yeah.
Anyway.
I'll add on just to the end.
Sure.
I thought that Cage's promo kind of sounded like it had been written out for him, but I thought that he handled it quite nicely. So props have to be given to him, because the jury is still out a lot of the time on his mic skills and his, personality side of his act. So, yeah, I thought that he acquitted himself quite nicely with the little promo.
Yep, we're getting to the tail end here, bro. The Good Brothers retained the Impact Tag Team titles, which, again, as I said before, foregone conclusion. You knew that they were going to retain over Evil Uno and
Stu Grayson's his name.
Stu Grayson, who's very good, by the way. I'm not saying that he's not important enough to remember, but I'm still trying to get to know these guys. But yeah, tell me how you felt about the match. I think, again, it's like there's always these matches where you know the outcome. You know who's going to win.
Yeah. Look, the match was okay. I thought that the Good Brothers have really kind of found their groove. In the WWE, they were trying to play very similar characters to what you see them portray on AEW television and Impact television, because they are the Impact Tag Champs, I believe. And this match was for the Impact Tag titles, so that's crucial. We shouldn't forget that. Anyway, Gallows and Anderson attempted to portray the same type of characters in WWE, but they never quite looked comfortable. It didn't really come across the same. They look a lot more comfortable in AEW. They've got some nice gear. They actually look like a unit, and it comes across that they've been teaming together and that they actually are really good, close personal friends in real life. That, again, like I was saying with Britt Baker, it's real. It translates, through the screen. So yeah, this match was okay. Evil Uno, once again, a couple of things here and there that he sort of flubbed, and a guy his size, I don't want to see him fucking flubbing shit. I want to see a guy that size fucking destroying cunts and wowing me when he does it. That's what I want to see. I don't know what's happening, if he's got a bit of ring rust or if it's just anxiety or whatever. I certainly hope it isn't mental health issues or whatever. But, there's been a noticeable couple of botches from him specifically over the last few weeks, and it's becoming a bit of a pattern. Stu Grayson looks tremendous. That fucking springboard corkscrew. So I'll try and describe it for the audience. So, yeah, one of the opponents is laid out. Stu Grayson springboards off the middle rope as if he was executing a lion salt a la Chris Jericho. Instead of performing a backflip, though, he rotated 180 degrees in the middle of that and ended up turning it into a senton bomb. So it ended up being kind of a lion salt, like a corkscrew lion salt.
Yeah.
Almost. And just tremendous. Absolutely fantastic body control, and just the hang time on it was fantastic. And I am going to point out going forward when I see moves like that really impress me. Because so often, we're quick to point out, oh, this was flubbed or this wasn't done very well. A lot of Stu Grayson stuff here, he really showed me something tonight. And I found myself going like, okay, now I'm interested in seeing this guy wrestle again.
Excellent, bro. And you know what? I was just thinking then, as we mentioned, we're like, why is Colt Cabana doing nothing?
Colt,
you know
man.
what? You know what I would have done? I would have had
ahead.
Colt fucking screw his team over and leave the Dark Order. I would have had him leave. And then, because you know what? Guess who's coming in 2 weeks? Guess who should interrupt him? Guess who should be the first program? Let's build Colt back up. Let's put him in there with Punk. They've got a pre-existing issue in real life, based in reality. I'm sure Punk's enough of a professional.
I don't think that. Nah.
I think he should be enough of a professional. He's going to be there around him anyway. They're going to have to bury the hatchet at some point because Colt is a producer there. I think if you want to get the fans going, oh, here we go. You have Colt interrupt CM Punk's promo.
I feel bad for Colt. I do. Colt Cabana is a talented guy. Some people care for his comedic wrestling style and the British wrestling influence. Some people don't care for it. I personally think whether you like him, whether you don't, it's objectively true that he's a talented wrestler and that he has something to offer. And it's disappointing seeing him be shoved into the background of a background act. Because for me, the Dark Order is not one of the reasons I tune into the show. In all respect to Mr. Brody Lee, because when he was still with us, his part of the show was something I was interested in seeing. Right. So, again, I don't want to waffle on. I've got something that I wanted to say to kind of wrap it up. Oh, yeah. Props to Colt Cabana, because the one good thing that he did do in this match was that he fucking punched that Brandon Cutler in his fucking nose protector, and it made him look like a little bitch. Because I can't stand Brandon Cutler, and it's go away heat. It's not good heat. So I don't want anyone in the comments to be like, oh, but Jooseyboy, if you hate him, then, he must be doing his job as a heel. No, I hate him because he's a fucking dickhead and he shouldn't be on the TV show.
Yeah, it was hokey that he was getting dragged backstage, spraying the can in the air.
Embarrassing.
Like, dude, God damn it, bro. Like, what is this shit? Anyway, Kamille, our beloved NWA World Women's Champion. I am just like, I got to crush.
I knew as soon as I saw her last week, because you hadn't seen much of her, had you?
Not for a while, but I didn't realize how tall and impressive looking of an athlete she is. I've got a crush on her, bro.
It's because normally she's like standing next to like the male athletes in the NWA, so the size doesn't quite come across. But when you put her opposite in the ring against an average sized woman, because Kamille's obviously stunning, beautiful, but much larger and kind of a bit more like stockily built than the average woman, and the size really did come across last week, and it came across in this vignette as well, which was, you know, about 45 seconds long. Didn't overstay its welcome. Again, something else I like. Bang, move on to the next thing.
Very good. I like that they props to AEW for promoting the NWA's
it's good
upcoming pay-per-view. I think it's an important thing to help a company like that out, because you know, you can check out my interview with Nick Aldis, you know, and he talks a little bit about, you know, the struggles of the company and them needing an infrastructure and all that stuff, and them needing a money backer to help them really build that infrastructure. So any chance they can get a little bit of promo on the show is always positive.
Especially with the kind of product NWA is trying to revive, you know, they need all the help they can get. They're a good product.
That's it, bro. Next up, the low light of the show for me, except for the conclusion, QT Marshall is supposed to give an apology to Tony Schiavone. They grab his son, Kris, who's in the front row. Kris isn't like a 16-year-old kid, and he's being held by one man. He gets, well, at first I think he gets punched, right? He's held by two men, but then one of the guys grabbed Tony. So then he was only being held by one guy who was about the same size as Chris Jericho. So after he'd been punched in the gut, maybe the punch needed to be more ferocious, and he needed to be just like on his hands and knees, not just standing there next to the guy, because I was just like, why don't you just shrug him off, bro? He's not that big. But anyway, they had to try and think of something for Big Show to come out. Sorry, Paul Wight to come out. So this is the extent of the creative there. They're like, okay, we'll grab his son out the crowd. We'll have him get punched in the gut. We'll have Tony get upset. But then they didn't really think about the fact that the kid wasn't still being held down by two people. So it kind of came across as phony to me. So they're just trying to set up some sort of scenario, and it wasn't very creative as far as I'm concerned. Out comes Paul Wight. Fucking happy to see the choke slam again. I don't want to see him do the fucking punch anymore. Good God, I don't know why WWE took the choke slam away from him. Yeah, I don't know why they took the choke slam away from him and made one punch be his fucking finisher for so long. So stupid, but great to see Big Show out there to do this. I'm sure this is leading to some sort of QT Marshall, Paul Wight match at some point, where I'm hoping Paul Wight fucking squashes him. What did you think, bro?
Yeah, look, I thought that the intentions behind this angle were good, and I like the idea of it. I love Tony Schiavone. I'm a big mark for Tony, so I'm happy to see anything. Tony Schiavone himself actually played this quite well. You know, it actually genuinely felt like, oh man, he's terrified, he's angry, you know, he's upset, because it doesn't really matter how old your child gets. It will always be something that's greatly upsetting to a parent to see their child being abused or hurt in some way. So, you know, Tony actually played his part off well. I believe that they were going for the idea that even though Chris Schiavone's not a kid and he's a young man and an aspiring wrestler, that he's still an untrained wrestler and he's just a fan and a civilian. So therefore, one of these big, stronger wrestlers would probably be able to kind of hold him. But yeah, you are right. It seems like they could have put one extra person from QT's faction out there with him, just so that Schiavone had some, you know, the kid had some extra restraints. Yeah. And it kind of looked like they were really holding him back against his will. The idea was there, but there were a few little things on the execution that kind of, again, broke the immersion of the segment.
Exactly. And look, everyone, we're not just nitpicking for the sake of it.
These I like it. I'm interested.
I think these are fundamental mistakes.
Yeah.
That, you know, when you look at it properly and from like a constructive criticism point of view, you think, how could we have made that look more realistic, that situation?
There are things that, I mean, look, no matter what we do and no matter how we phrase our discussion, there are always going to be someone in the comments or whatever that's going to say, oh, you're just nitpicking, you're just looking for reasons to tear them down, blah, blah. You know, we're not. The things that we get most upset about often are things which suddenly remove you from the enjoyment of the show that you were experiencing up until that point. This is one of those things. If you had 2 people or 3 people holding the kid back, and you had a punch to the gut that actually looked like it was, had some muscle on it, as you said, Carl, then the immersion would have been maintained, and it would have been like, oh, this guy's actually in danger no matter how old he is or whatever. But
absolutely.
It kind of didn't work that way as it was.
That's it, bro. That's it. So again, we're not nitpicking for the sake of nitpicking. We're applying constructive criticism to things that could have been improved upon. Anyway, DJ, we're going to get to our main event right now. I'm going to let you take this away. It is the Fourth Labor of Jericho. I didn't realize ahead of time that the 5th one was just wrestling MJF. I thought he had to get through 5 things in order to get the match with MJF. So that's why maybe the last few weeks I've been, thinking I can't wait for what number 4 and 5 is. So I was a little disappointed to know that, it was only 4 things before he actually got to wrestle the guy, but whatever. DJ, what did you think of this? I've got a little bit to say at one point, but I want you to take this one away.
Yeah, so I've got a bit to say. So, first of all, I said earlier that I felt like this match, that is Jericho versus Wardlow with MJF on the outside, should have been the first or second labor, because it's much more basic and much less kind of impressive than the previous labors have been up to this point. To go from a chairs match with Shawn Spears, which I'm not a huge Shawn Spears fan, but still, it's a chairs match. So then, okay, his opponent's allowed to use chairs, but not him. That's really stacking the odds against him, because this particular guy, Shawn Spears, is known for being adept with a chair. Then you have the second labor, and it's this deathmatch wrestler, Nick Gage, who's going to take Jericho beyond the limits of any kind of violence he's ever experienced in the ring. How's he going to come out of that one? Then the third labor last week, and you can see I'm actually enjoying the angle at this point, is let's bring back this old school lucha libre opponent of Jericho's from earlier on in his career and see if he can still hang with this with this legendary lucha libre wrestler, Juventud Guerrera. And the match wasn't obviously one of the classics that they might have had on WCW pay-per-view back in the day, but it was still a good match, and you were interested to see what was going to happen. Then it gets to this week, and it's a guy on the roster, but it's just Wardlow, who we've seen Jericho tussle with before, during the big Inner Circle and what was the other faction? Sorry, Inner Circle and
the Pinnacle. Oh wait. Are we talking about something from previously? Yeah, don't ask me.
Yeah. No, so anyway, Jericho and Wardlow have already tangled before. Wardlow is just milquetoast to me, Carl. I'm sorry. He's obviously he's in terrific shape. He has a great physique. He's got a good look. But yeah, it's just milquetoast. It's like watching paint dry. He needs some charisma, some acting lessons, something. Jericho looked a little slow and plodding and sluggish out there, which I guess makes sense in the context of the storyline because he's been through a lot. But all it really was for the entire time of the match was just powerbomb after powerbomb after powerbomb after powerbomb after powerbomb. And I think, Wardlow ended up powerbombing Jericho like 10 times or something. And, they looked less impressive each time that he did it. And the whole match just came across as being really slow and plodding and yeah, look, I didn't care for it that much. It was okay. Once again, it was just kind of there. I'm going to move on quickly, and I'm going to give this a C- for the main event. And I'll have more to say about the segment afterwards, though.
Sure, bro. All right. So, as you mentioned, you had to beat Spears in a chairs match. You had to beat Nick Gage in a death match. You had to beat Hoovy by hitting a move off the top rope.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, there's a theme there, and they broke the theme. Now he just has to beat Wardlow in a match. It's such a letdown from the first 3. And I've said it for weeks. The last one before having to wrestle MJF should have been Ken Shamrock in a submission match. It would have made so much sense. And you could have done something afterward where, you could turn Ken back babyface and he could help Jericho fucking fight them off. Maybe like, one of the guys from the Pinnacle fucks up on Shamrock's part, which fucks off Shamrock. Shamrock gets attacked after the match, just like Hoovy was last week. Shamrock fights back, You don't need Shamrock there full time afterward. It's just a one-time appearance, but Shamrock's not going to be fucked with. And pardon me, if it was a submission match against Jericho, then it's like, how the fuck's Jericho going to beat an Ultimate Fighter who hasn't been on like a AEW TV before, has been at Impact Wrestling recently, still looks fantastic, can still go. I just think that would have made more sense considering Shamrock's last angle in WWE was against Jericho. They got to the pay-per-view for the first match of the feud, and Shamrock left the company that day. Mm-hmm. So that feud never got to see its conclusion. So again, it made sense. It makes sense to the situation because MJF went to Hoovy, a former rival of his. Now he's going to Shamrock, somebody that never got to have his comeuppance against Chris Jericho all those years ago. Now he gets his chance to by screwing him over in the Fourth Labor of Jericho. So if I was there behind the scenes, I'd be saying, guys, let's give Ken a call. This makes so much sense. It will be a great match as well. I was not invested in the Wardlow match whatsoever because the last time that something like this happened, Cody beat Wardlow in a cage match. So it's like, okay, over a year later, we're doing the same kind of story for Jericho to finally get that match with MJF. And Wardlow's again going to be the guy that can't get the job done. So it's now going to create a theme with Wardlow that he can't get the job done. And he's when he's going to be relied upon to do things in the future, you're always going to think, well, he's just probably going to slip on a banana peel again, just like what happened in this match. And I felt, yes, the match was sluggish. There was no real drama to it, except for right at the end. The commercial break hurt this match so much. I don't think, and look, last week I said they've evolved the commercial break by having the match still air with the commercial next to it. But last week, I felt it worked in a way. This week, I felt it hurt the show quite a lot because every commercial break was during a match, and it was just, I don't know. I know that they can't have just random backstage stuff showing up because there's no audio, but they got to think of something to do when it comes to this. If you're going to keep airing the show whilst there's a commercial break, I don't want to sit there and just keep watching Wardlow powerbomb the guy 8 times. Like, it was like complete overkill and over the top, and it hurt the match so much. So it hurt the complete flow of the match because you're watching it throughout the commercial break. You're being taken out of it as you're looking at some of the Papa John's fucking nice, tasty fucking food and Popeye's chicken. But yeah, I just felt it fucking hurt it so much. And the finish was great. I like the drama of MJF getting in the ring and getting caught by the referee Aubrey Edwards, getting ejected, and then whilst the distractions going on, Jericho manages to fucking wipe out Wardlow and get the pinfall. So like the crowd popped for that ending, and it was cool, but everything leading to it was just not very good. Commercial break ruined the flow of everything. I didn't buy into it whatsoever. Shouldn't have been the final obstacle for Jericho before facing MJF. So DJ, anything else to add to this?
Yeah, no, I'll just start off talking about so MJF cut a bit of a promo at the end of the match, and just kind of talking about his upcoming match with Jericho in the Fifth Labor. And look, I mean, the stipulation that he chose for the Fifth Labor, again, the stipulation in itself, I would like it if it wasn't for the Fifth Labor. So the stipulation is Jericho is not allowed to use the Judas effect, and he will not be allowed to come to the ring with his Judas theme song playing either. He's going to come to the ring in total silence. So obviously the idea there is that they want to get a shot of, they want obviously the audience to sing the song acoustically, so that they can get that moment of like the audience providing the beloved theme song for Chris Jericho when the Dastardly Heel tries to take it away. And he won't be able to use his Judas Effect elbow, which smartly he has used to win all the labors up to this point. So that makes sense in a vacuum. Problem is, this is the Fifth Labor of Jericho, the last step on, the last hurdle that Jericho has to overcome, and this is what it is. It almost feels like they went in descending order of like excitement.
Yeah.
It really feels like this stipulation should have been the match with Wardlow, I mean to say, should have been the very first labor. Then you go to the fucking chairs match with Shawn Spears. Then you go to the fucking Nick Gage match. Then you go to the Hoovy match. And I kind of agree with you that there needed to be something bigger happening for the fifth labor.
Yeah. How do you go up like this and then right at the end go like that? You can't. You got to keep upping the ante, bro.
It just seems underway, and it's not like I'm demanding that they fucking have the craziest TLC match ever or something like that. But I mean, you could have got creative. There are literally thousands of opponents from Jericho's past that you
Lance Storm.
You could have had Lance Storm come in.
His first opponent.
Dude, you could have had Christian. Well, you couldn't have done it this week because he's now being positioned in a world title match. But last week, you could have had Christian be one of the labors if you wanted to use someone from the roster. It's just, I don't understand why they chose to go with such a milquetoast option when they clearly had other options available. Like Colt Cabana, man. Imagine if Colt Cabana wrestled Chris Jericho, and it's like Colt's been on a downturn, so he's going to try and use this opportunity against Jericho to try to build himself back up again.
Yeah, I don't know, bro. I just feel like it was a letdown to the end of the story before we get to our final conclusion of it next week. And I just want to say this about the stipulation for next week. Like, why didn't he also ban the Walls of Jericho? Why didn't he also ban the fucking Codebreaker? Why didn't he also ban he's got a whole heap of fucking moves that he's got that can finish people off. So I don't know. I kind of think it's a really weak avenue to go down, and they could have probably come up with something else as far as I'm concerned. And I'm sure that this match is going to lead to another match at All Out to finally maybe finish this feud once and for all. But I guess that's it, bro. That was the end of Dynamite. This is the third week now that we've done this review show. Give me your rating out of 10, bro.
Look, I gotta tell you, I'm struggling to give this one above a 5, and I think I might have done something similar last week, but yeah, I'm going to give this one a 5 to represent just being adequate enough. I mean, but this was really testing my patience this week. So yeah, 5 out of 10 from me.
Yeah, I'm going to give it a 5 out of 10 as well. It's my lowest rating out of the 3 weeks. I think it was the weakest show out of the last 3 weeks.
Yeah.
5 out of 10, middle of the ground, nothing special, but also nothing too horrible either. So I'm still interested to watch next week. Still interested to watch next week, but and to watch the first episode of Rampage as well, which we will review as well. But yeah, it just didn't fire on all cylinders for me tonight. But DJ, again, thank you very much for doing the show with me here today. And again, please plug everything and where people can find you.
Yeah, so on Twitter, I am at Jooseyboy, JOOSEYBOY. Twitch, I'm the same, at Jooseyboy. You can subscribe to Jooseyboy on YouTube for original wrestling content. And don't forget also to subscribe and follow the WZWA Network to keep up with everything we're doing over here.
Excellent. And for everyone out there, you can find me on Twitter at Karlifornia WZWA. That's KARLIFORNIA WZWA. You can also check out our YouTube, youtube.com/WZWA Network, where you can find my podcast, the Insider's Edge podcast, where just this week we've released the interviews with Bobby Blaze and Nick Aldis, and also ECW referee Jim Molyneux's interview will be dropping very, very soon. And that's about it, DJ. So again, thank you, brother.
Yeah, thank you. It's been another fun review here tonight.
Absolutely, bro. So thank you to Jooseyboy and thank you everyone out there for joining us here on the AEW Dynamite review show here on the WZWA Network. I'm Karlifornia. This is Jooseyboy. We will see you next time. Thank you.